Hey there, I'm Anna. I live in California and my story is horrible and something so scary that I would pray to God that it never happens to anyone, which happened to me. It's about how Ethan and I went from university classmates to life partners, with all the sweet and bitter moments in between, and had a horrible ending. We met in the most dramatic way possible, through a group project. Ethan was the quiet, smart guy in class, and I was trying to keep my head above water with my studies. Somehow, we clicked, and our relationship grew from shared notes and coffee runs to something more profound. However, something strange happened. Our visits to each other's homes revealed the stark differences in our family dynamics. Ethan's family was polite but distant, making me feel more like a guest who was an intruder, and they felt bothered by my presence. Contrast that with my family's open arms and loud, loving chaos. Despite the frostiness from his family, Ethan and I grew closer. We got married, surrounded by love, though the chill from his side was palpable. After getting married, things were good every day, and Ethan got a job abroad. While he was away working abroad, Ethan's family turned out to be one of those chapters in life you're never quite prepared for. The odd behavior and the tension in the house made every day feel more challenging than the last. It was as though I was navigating a maze without a map, trying to figure out how to fit into their world without Ethan guiding me. But you know, life throws curveballs at you, and it's all about how you catch them. Despite the difficulties, Ethan and I found little ways to stay connected. Those long-distance calls became our lifeline, a way to share the mundanities of our days and remind each other of the love that tied us together. Not having him there to share a laugh or offer a shoulder to lean on was tough, but we made do with what we had. As the days turned into months, I started finding my footing. I learned to see Ethan's family's silent expectations and unspoken rules, slowly carving out a space for myself within their home. It wasn't easy, and there were plenty of bumps along the way, but there was also growth. I learned a lot about patience. Meanwhile, Ethan faced challenges abroad, adapting to a new job and culture alone. Our shared struggles brought us closer, cementing our bond through shared experiences and mutual support, even from thousands of miles away. Through it all, we held on to the belief that this was just a temporary phase, a test of our strength and commitment to each other. And as with all things, this too passed. Ethan eventually returned, and we could start a new chapter together, armed with the lessons we learned and a deeper appreciation for the simple joy of being together. It wasn't just about going through the complexities of living with his family or the distance between us. It was about us, Ethan and I, learning to weather storms together, holding on to each other even when we were worlds apart, and emerging more vital for it. It's funny how life works. The most challenging times often lead to the most remarkable growth, individually and together. Months passed, and Ethan's family started to weave a web of lies about me. It was as if they were painting a picture of me that I couldn't recognize, one that was so far from reality that it felt surreal. They'd tell Ethan things that weren't true, making it seem like I was not fitting in or respecting their ways, despite my earnest attempts to bridge our differences. What made this situation even more heart-wrenching was that they started limiting my communication with Ethan. They'd find reasons for him not to talk to me, claiming I was too busy or that it wasn't a good time. It felt like I was being silenced in my own home, my voice drowned out by the narratives they chose to share. And Ethan, my partner and best friend, began to believe these stories. The distance between us, once merely physical, started to feel emotional and mental. It was as if the Ethan I knew was fading away, replaced by someone who saw me through a lens crafted by his family's falsehoods. The trust and understanding we had built seemed to crumble with every lie they told, leaving me feeling isolated and betrayed. This period was among the darkest in my life. I was living in a house where I was made to feel like an outsider, my character questioned, and my integrity doubted. The person I believed would stand by me began to doubt me, influenced by the deceptive tales spun by his own family. It was a battle I felt I was fighting alone, with no one to turn to for support or understanding. Despite the pain and the betrayal, I held on to a sliver of hope that the truth would eventually come to light. I clung to the belief that Ethan's love for me, the connection we shared, would be strong enough to see through the lies. It was a difficult time testing my strength and resilience limits. Yet, it also taught me the value of standing up for myself, of finding my voice even when others sought to silence it. It was a lesson in trust, not just in others, but in myself, in believing in my truth even when it felt like the world was against me. Ethan's family threw another challenge my way. Despite knowing that my health was far from perfect and that I was already grappling with the emotional toll of their actions and the distance from Ethan, they insisted that I contribute financially. Considering the circumstances, it was a demand that felt unreasonable and insensitive. At this point, my health was not in the best state. The stress of living in a hostile environment, Ethan's absence and the emotional strain of his family's deceit had taken its toll. Yet, the expectation to start earning was laid out clearly, with little regard for my well-being. It seemed as though Ethan's family was intent on pushing me to my limits, testing my resilience in every possible way. Finding work under such conditions was daunting. My physical and mental health were not conducive to the demands of a job, yet the pressure from Ethan's family left me with little choice. I started looking for remote work, something I could manage from home, hoping to meet their expectations without compromising my health. The search was exhausting. Each application sent out reminded me of my predicament, where I was forced to prove my worth in ways that felt deeply unfair. It was a slight relief when I finally found a manageable position, but the work was taxing, demanding hours that stretched me thin and left little room for recovery. Ethan's reaction to this new development was mixed. On one hand, he seemed to appreciate the effort I was putting in to contribute financially. On the other, he seemed unaware of the full extent of the pressure his family was putting on me or how their actions were affecting my health. His family's narrative had created a rift between us, making it difficult for him to see the reality of my situation. My financial contribution did little to change Ethan's family's behavior towards me. Their coldness persisted, as did their efforts to control and dictate my actions. It was as though no matter what I did, it would never be enough to earn their approval or kindness. Through this ordeal, I learned hard lessons about perseverance, self-worth, and the limits of endurance. During this period, I tested my relationship with Ethan and his family and my relationship with myself. I was forced to confront the realities of my situation, to advocate for my health and well-being, even when it felt like no one else would. This chapter of my life was one of the most challenging, but also a turning point. It pushed me to reassess my boundaries, understand the importance of self-care, and recognize the strength of facing adversity head-on. It was a reminder that sometimes the most brutal battles we face are the ones that teach us the most about our resilience and capacity for growth. The tension in Ethan's family home reached a breaking point one day, culminating in misunderstandings, mistrust, and the relentless pressure I was under. It happened suddenly. Ethan's parents' swift and harsh decision. I was told to leave their home. Their justification was a tangle of reasons, but the message was clear. I was no longer welcome. Feeling broken and betrayed, I packed my belongings, each item a reminder of the life I thought I was building with Ethan. The home that was supposed to be a haven for us had become a place of conflict and pain. With nowhere else to turn, I sought refuge with a kind-hearted neighbour who had always offered me a smile and a listening ear. Ethan was abroad, unaware of the storm that had just upended everything. His family, seizing the opportunity, painted a picture of me leaving of my own volition, abandoning the family in a time of need. They spun their narrative skillfully, ensuring Ethan heard their version first, a story designed to place blame squarely on my shoulders. The days following my departure were some of the darkest. Cut off from Ethan and feeling utterly alone, I relied on the kindness of my neighbour, who became a friend in my time of need. It was through this unexpected ally that a glimmer of hope emerged. Seeing the injustice of the situation, my neighbour reached out to Ethan, bypassing his family's attempts to control the narrative. When Ethan finally made contact, the confusion and hurt in his voice were palpable. He had been told I had left, a decision that bewildered him as much as it hurt. Our conversation was a mix of relief and revelation. For the first time in what felt like forever, Ethan heard my side of the story, understood the extent of his family's manipulation and the real reason behind my sudden departure. The experience had changed us both, revealing the fragility of trust and the strength found in truth. It was a painful lesson in the consequences of manipulation and the power of communication. In the end, the ordeal with Ethan's family, as harrowing as it was, became a catalyst for growth.